Hi, everybody. Okay, so we are on 2,160 days since Richard was forcibly removed from his barracks room there on Fort Bliss. Make sure that everything is going. It's very late. Sorry. Sorry it's so late. Oh my gosh. We're burning the midnight oil. But just a lot of things are happening right now behind the scenes. The pressure is on. The pressure is on. We are moving so fast forward. And that's why it gets a little late like this, because we're trying to keep up with President Trump. President Trump and his administration are moving very, very fast behind the scenes, narrowing in on El Paso, where Richard, of course, Fort Bliss, where Richard was forcibly removed from his barracks room there on base, taken downstairs. This was room 2479, his barracks building 2479, down in the basement room where they took his life. The chain of command, they took his life. And because he was a whistleblower for the cartel infiltration into our military, that there was child sexual exploitation there, and of course, all the trafficking so much trafficking, even MREs, which are meals ready to eat. MREs were being trafficked, not one, not two, no, 200 pallets in one go. 200 pallets in one go, 1.2, about 1.2, over $1.2 million and meals ready to eat. That's taxpayer money. That's taxpayer money. And then I guess, they're selling them on eBay or something like that. Or they had a really good procurement professional. Layla Bugalo was all about that, right? Um, and they were profiting off of their theft of the American people. That's what they were doing off of Fort Bliss, and they were, whatever they could steal, um, be it weapons and even MREs. And that's what I was saying, even parts, like any kind of vehicle part or whatever, and even vehicles. Uh, that's why our military bases looked pretty shabby under Biden. And in really in the history of things, my dad kept, when he went to the graduation for Richard, where Richard was number one distinguished undergraduate, he was a little concerned, because he noticed that, here we have uh, audits of the Pentagon that they never passed. They never passed. There was outright theft going on in the Pentagon. Thank you so much to President Trump for exposing all of this fraud. And of course, thank you to Richard for being the hero that exposed all this fraud. And so, that is indication right there that we're moving forward, that we can even say the word cartel, that the cartel had infiltrated on base and in our military, and that they were targeting President Trump. They were targeting President Trump in the 2020 election because he had audits going on. He wanted to know what they were stealing, how much they were stealing, and what was going on in our military back then, in his first administration. And Richard was a whistleblower. He said, "Well, you want to know? I could tell you. I could tell you what's going on." That's why he was in communication with DC. That's why he was in communication with IG, with CID, with his chain of command, with CPS, because there was crimes against children, right? And we'll talk about that today too. Crimes against children. Um, so Richard was, whistleblowing, and they did not want those reports to get to President Trump's, top of the pyramid administration, because they were mutinous in the military. They were, up to no good. And of course, they were in the El Paso area, which is Beto O'Rourke's area. And Beto O'Rourke's hand is on all of this with human resources, because human resources absolutely organized who was going to be um, uh, deployed or be stationed there in El Paso on Fort Bliss. There is no mistake about that, because Dallas Hart, why was he there? If he was in the military and then went green to gold and still stayed there, he's always there. He was always there. Why is that? That's absolutely human resources um, being, well, it indicates that they're implicated in all of this. And of course, we know that Jed Chan was human resources, right? We knew that he was resources. Yeah, from El Paso, right? The Chan brothers, up to no good. We know that they're up to no good. Um, so, how do we know that things are moving forward? How do we know that um, there's a lot of positive movement? Because President Trump has stopped the fuel theft. Okay. And we're going to see that. And part of that was the Strait of Hormuz, Iran. That's why it was all about the fuel theft. It was all about the trafficking. It was all about the pipeline that connected to El Paso. Um, that was feeding into Iran, the gateway into China. Um, that's why he did not want to hurt the infrastructure of the people of Iran, just just those of the leadership there that are up to no good with this fuel theft pipeline. We know that this was also a um, financial drain that the FinCEN had to get involved, because you're talking about billions of barrels of stolen fuel. And we've had to suffer for, haven't we, with these very high fuel prices, when really it takes, what, 10 cents to get a barrel of crude oil out of the ground. And of course, people want to make profit, of course, if they do the work and get it to us and refine it, which is another issue, then they should make a profit. But we have some price gouging going on, don't we? We have some people that are trying to sabotage what President Trump has done. And we still see the price of crude oil going down. It's below $70 a barrel now, and it seems to be going down even further, which is really good news. But we should see like 225 at the pump right now. We don't see that, right? I mean, some places have like 269. Well, we're in South Carolina, so if you're in California, you have a lot of taxes on your fuel, because they don't want you to use fuel. They want you to, I guess, invest in their companies that make windmills and solar panels. Um, whatever their scheme is. And I'm, all for a certain windmill and a certain solar panel. I'm not saying whatever, but this is a competition, right? Uh, they're sabotaging cheap fuel and that means that they're attacking people's lives, because people depend on oil for their livelihoods and lives, especially when you get into the winter and everything. So, and now with the heat, right, with the people needing air condition, so the thing that makes the world productive is cheap fuel, and we have plenty of it. And they were stealing it. The cartels were stealing it, and they formed a pipeline, and they were profiting. Talk about price gouging, right? Talk about price gouging. So President Trump has stopped that. We know that because of Cesar Paneche and Grupo Carvel. We know that because of the fuel theft going through CJNG from the FinCEN, that I just posted up the FinCEN um, announcement all about that, that the CJNG were absolutely stealing fuel. And then we know that because of the Miss Universe pageant, that was fuel theft going on there. And, and it goes on, right? All the fuel theft. And I'm sure a lot of that fuel, because we have the connections and everything, of who managed the fuel stations there on Fort Bliss. I'm sure there was up to no good going on, siphoning fuel, because if they're going to take MREs, right, 200 pallets in one go, I mean, can you imagine how many MREs that is? Then of course they are um, siphoning fuel, and we know that because we know the connections with Lalani Hart, with um, the whole group that was targeting Richard, and they absolutely had their hand on the fuel distribution there on Fort Bliss. So thank you for coming on so late and supporting us. It's just a huge blessing. And so I want to make sure that everyone is upbeat, because we need to, it's kind of like FIFA, right? It's kind of like FIFA, and I posted that. Let's look at the FIFA because that was just amazing. And I hear that some of this, okay, here it is. Let's see if I can get it. Why is this so important? Look at this German.
Flew in from across the ocean, didn't know what to expect. Saw the skyline out the window and I nearly broke my neck. Landed in Atlanta where the Georgia pines run green. Man, I said this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Pulled up to a Waffle House at 1 a.m. real late. Hash brown scattered, smothered, covered, 10 out of 10, it's great. Discovered free refills and I almost lost my mind. Found the kind of welcome that I never thought I'd find. Welcome to the land where the whole world comes to play. Flags from every nation waving proud and on display. From Boston to LA, from Dallas to the sea. 80,000 voices, this is what it means to be free. Hey! Welcome to the land, yeah, we're rolling out the door. Every street is stage, every stranger wanting more. The ball is in the air, and the whole wide world can see. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the land of the boots and tartan everywhere. The whole city stopped to hear. They sang Flower of Scotland at the Red Sox Fenway Park. Lit the whole of New England up and glowing in the dark. The Germans hit the highway, chased the road from south to north. Freddie said it's the Holy Land, he meant Taco Bell, of course. Bucky's left him speechless, Bass Pro Shops left him amazed. Even got invited to the White House, yeah, the whole world's going crazy. Norwegian fans in New York doing yoga in Times Square. Then they turned the escalator into a Viking's lair. Rowing up together like a long ship headed home. Little boy in and out, now he won't leave alone. Oh, welcome to the land where the whole world comes to play. Flags from every nation waving proud and on display. From Boston to LA, from Dallas to the sea. 80,000 voices, this is what it means to be free. Welcome to the land, yeah, we're rolling out the door. Every street a stage, every stranger wanting more. The ball is in the air, and the whole wide world can see. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the land of the free. Japan fans cleaning stadiums the same way that they do. An NFL star grabbed a trash bag, joined the whole crew. Mexico and South Korea, best friends on the street, dancing to Gangnam Style with their arms around each beat. Kansas learned Algerian, the marching band played their song. 500 Lawrence locals show the world where you belong. Swedish fans went searching for the recipe to ranch. Frenchman says the air conditioning deserves its own whole stanza. English fans took jaw dropped at the first sight of Bucky's. Scottish fans at Fenway, Boston said please don't leave. Bucky and the ranch dressing brisket by the pound. Best tournament the world has ever seen. And we're just getting wild. A bagpiper and a bucket drummer outside Faneuil Hall. Plaid kilt, wicker hat, playing music for us all. Different worlds, different words, different flags, different names. But when the whistle blows, we all come alive the same. From the Rockies to Rockefeller, from Seattle to the shore. America is telling the world, come on in. There's room for more. Hello! Welcome to the land where the whole world comes to play. Flags from every nation waving proud and on display. From Boston to LA, from Dallas to the sea. 80,000 voices, this is what it means to be free. Welcome to the land, yeah, we're rolling out the door. Every street a stage, every
This is what
stranger
the
wanting
leaders
more.
hate,
The ball
right?
is in the air, and the whole wide world can see. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the land of the free. To the land of the free. From the people who came here and fell in love with the land, to the people who live here and reached out a hand. One beautiful game, one beautiful truth. The whole world is welcome, and the whole world came through.
Okay. It's just brilliant. It's really brilliant. And it sends a great message. And why is that so important? Because what has happened in our son's case is the roaches came out, right? The people for Veronica Escobar, the people for the generals, all the cartel people, Ray Velarde, and what were they doing? They were intimidating. They were trying to suppress us. They were trying to make our lives so miserable. They were trying to get us to hate our country, to hate Mexico, to hate and the military, to hate everything. And that way to distract us from staying positive, staying proactive, staying focused on our system that they knew, if we stayed focused, would get us justice, and that they would end up in jail, or worse, that they would be facing the death penalty for what they did, for their treacherous activities. And so that's why it's so important to stay upbeat, to understand that this is not like something Mexico did or something that the United States did. This is what criminals have done. This is what the cartel have done. And they have infiltrated, and they've been infiltrated for a long time, y'all. So, it always seems like because they were doing mind control, right? They were doing mind control. They were hypnotizing us. They were using the media. They were using, really mainly the media and education to twist our brains um, to where we felt helpless, that we felt bitter, that we felt that nothing could ever be done, and because that was the way they would get away with all their criminal activity. And so, what President Trump has done with FIFA is brought the world together, right? Brought the world together and showed us that we can love our country and have competition, friendly competition with other countries, with other people that love their country. And we can learn to love our country and know that it's worth fighting for. It's about the land and the people, and that there are infiltrators that we need to get out. We need to anyone that wants to depress us and make us impotent, right? Make us impotent, unable to function. And that's what kind of depression is. It makes you unable to function in the day-to-day life and in the pursuit of justice. See, that's their thing. That's why they infiltrate the CIA, and that's why they infiltrate the FBI, and that's why they infiltrate the El Paso Police Department and the El Paso ISD, the schools, and all the ISDs, right? That's why they infiltrate that, because they want to control it, then they want to bully us. Because they control it, then they want to control the judges and they want to get away with it. They've been getting away with a lot of their criminal activity. But then they met Richard, right? They met Richard, and Richard stood up to them, and other whistleblowers, whistleblower Judge Roger Rodriguez stood up to them, filed his whistleblower complaint in our son's case, knew that our son's case, the truth needed to get out, and we will forever be grateful for that, for his whistleblower complaint. Now, what did they do with that? They were so shocked, they take it and they bury it. They whitewashed. We even got the CID admitting that they whitewashed Judge Rodriguez's whistleblower report that named the prime suspects in Richard's case, confirmed that there was tampering going on with the files, and so they were it was something that they were trying to hide now, is going to be their nemesis, because their own actions in obstructing justice and tampering with evidence, and all of the other criminal activities that they did to cover this up, to bury this case, and also the conspiring to take Richard's life, and the act in taking his life, and the conspiracy to steal his body, because they were planning this, y'all. They would text each other or meet with each other or whatever to plan this out, because you just don't steal a body off of Fort Bliss without a plan and trafficking it to Ciudad Juarez in Chihuahua, Mexico, where they knew they had an ally in the El Chapo fentanyl governor, Maru Campos administration. And of course, we know that um, Javier Corral was the governor at the time. We know that, but we'd also have evidence that he was betrayed because Maru Campos was in alliance. She was the mayor of Chihuahua. She was in alliance with the El Paso cartel operative and double agent Alejandro de la Vega Foster. That was behind the scenes, up to no good, infiltrating even more. And now uh, the whole cover up is, and the uh, whole the Plenitude Crematorium, where you have all of these bodies, over 400 bodies, and only like what 30 something percent of them have been now identified, and they've had a year to do it. And the very people that have the job of identifying these remains and even keeping the remains, the evidence, is the very people that were involved in this flesh peddling funeral home fraud scheme, sacrilegious crime. So that's why you see the slow walking, and this is where all of the investigations into, and why we're focused on Maru Campos, the Sinaloa cartel proxy, um, to really make sure that Mexicans know that they have a governor that really is up to no good. She's the one that's up to no good. Can you imagine it, you allow this kind of sacrilege where you're flesh peddling people's loved ones, and that this is a narco crematorium where they can just knock people off and then they have a place to dump the bodies. And that Mauro Campos's mother, because Mauro Campos's mother was always there, right? That's the connection that with Richard's body, is that who was on oversight of the Plenitude Crematorium when all this was happening with Richard, and that was Maru Campos's mother. Okay, so that is, you know, the whole puzzle, needs to be. All the puzzle pieces need to be exposed so that people can see it and say, "Aha, aha, this is what was going on." Um, yeah. Like Fifth Fam. Oh, yeah. That's such a interesting story. The whole Fit Fam story is such an interesting story. Um, yeah, I don't think tonight's the right time to tell it, but anyway, there's just one miraculous event after the other in Richard's case. And we absolutely, I know, when I see the German flag, I feel so supportive, and I know they're in big trouble there. But that's where my mother was born, and so I just had the most absolutely magnificent German grandmother, my Oma. And so, you have these wonderful loyalties to the countries, and that is rightfully so. And I was born in the United States, so I'm going to fly those stars and stripes. And of course, my husband served over 30 years honorably, totally honorably for the United States. And, and of course, Richard gave his life to save the United States, along with Mexico and along with all those children. He exposed it. So we are a very patriotic family, and we are not going to let these Beto O'Rourke's and Veronica Escobar's and these communists that have all this hateful, um, depressing rhetoric to stop us from getting justice, because that's why they do it, right? I lived through 3 months, over 3 months of the most vile, vulgar attack, day in and day out, and their goal was to get us to stop. That was their goal, right? To get us to stop seeking justice, seeking answers. And I just said, "Get behind me, Satan," right? "Get behind me, you roach, you demon," and go forward. And so now we have the designation of in the line of duty. We have uh, President Trump's incredible letters. We have the fuel theft stopped, which is so important for our son's case because that's their money. So when you have the drug trafficking spigot turned off, that's from Iran, all of the precursors to make these synthetic drugs like fentanyl, right? They turn the spigot off, and they're still going to try to find a way, right? They have a backup plan, I'm sure, but we're making it very difficult for them. And, and to turn off their pipeline to stolen fuel. That is really important because that is money and also energy, right? So everything is being turned off. The pipelines are being broken. Um, their connections. I know I was listening to a really interesting discussion about the Dominican Republic that because that was a really big visa pipeline for this criminal enterprise that was happening, and that has been turned off. So there's just so much to this because this criminal enterprise was just so big, and it was Richard that pulled on that string, that stood up against them, and they brought out everything to smear him. I mean, they had to figure out a way, this distinguished honor graduate, how can we set him up before, selling him the car? When you find out that it was Bob Moore's family that set him up for buying a car because he didn't want to buy a car. He wanted to be deployed again. He didn't want to pay he wanted to save some money, right? For other plans that he had. Um, but they, waved that carrot in front. They wanted to get him into that car. Um, when you find out who was behind all of this and they're scheming and they're conniving and they're colluding to set Richard up, and um he did really good, y'all. He still has a sparkling record. He still has a sparkling record. He has no record. And that's why, they don't they allude because, of course, Bob Moore is El Paso Matters with El Paso Community Foundation, the very people Richard was exposing. Um, they want to allude to, a smear, just a smear, right? But it didn't work. And that's why the petition is important, because uh, everyone knows we're not afraid of his files being reviewed, because we know that his files are amazing, sparkling, distinguished honor graduate, guide on bearer, black belt, you know, promoted before his peers with waivers. We know that it is an amazing record, and that's why we're not afraid of it. Um, they are afraid of it, so they're probably going to give uh, attack the fact that we would like a review of Richard's records, because they don't want uh, the the people to see that he's a hero, exactly what President Trump has called him, and officially, right? So, so that's my message is, this is a battle, and it's a battle of temperament, and it's a battle of keeping focused and not letting them do mind tricks on you, and taking away your hope. Uh, so, you know, and thank God for all of you. Thank God for all of you for keeping us going. Of course, all glory to God to keep us going. And and we have a lot going on behind the scenes that is really amazing. You just seen them narrowing in on Western Frontier Trading, which is the Dalbaim, which is like one of the biggest key figures in Richard's case, because he leads to everything. He's just very important to all of this. Whenever we see Lalani Hart get arrested, you will know. You will know, because she needs. There's no reason for Jared Brown not to arrest Lalani Hart. So he arrested Broberg's brother. He arrested Broberg's brother. That's a good thing, and announced it. I want to see him arrest Lalani Hart. Now, I have it that she's might not be in El Paso. So, yeah, that's a big possibility, because of what you have done sharing all of our information. I don't know if she feels good in El Paso. I think everyone knows who she is, and her confession is really, really bad. It's facilitating the worst type of crimes against children. And she, of course, her family had Heart Child Care LLC. Um, so it's pretty bad. She has a bad record. She's a convicted criminal, and she has a bad record. And we've spoke to many victims of hers. So yeah, I don't think she's in El Paso, but so the FBI need wherever she is. Um, I think the FBI needs to arrest. Well, I don't think they do. They need to arrest her. Period. So, but it's really good to see Jared Brown get that close. He's getting closer. He's getting closer to Richard's case, and which means the big fish. Because if he's at Broberg, if he's at Western Frontier Trading, he's getting very close to the big fish. So that's very, very good news. And I just want to and if their spigots have been turned off, this whole fuel theft, and you might not see as uh, good prices as it should be, at the pumps. It should be like 225, 215 right now, under $70 a barrel. But I will tell you, look it up in 2025 and 2026, what has been attacked. The the refineries. The refineries have been attacked. So there's a lot going on here in this battle for globalism versus nationalism, right? And what FIFA is a clear picture of nationalism where people can be proud of their identity and their country. They can all come together and be proud together. And globalism is just the elite on top, still rob you blind, and then you have to eat bugs, and then they say you can't own anything and you have to be happy, right? You have to be happy under their orders, you know, their misery, that you cannot seek justice. That's what that means. You cannot seek reprisal. That's what that means. Um, uh, yeah, exactly. So thank you so much. Yeah, that is a great video. Okay, let's answer all the questions. Thank you for exposing. We love the ending, the midnight ride of Paul Revere. Oh, yeah, it was so great. We are so blessed. Great video. That's my country. Yes, they infiltrate even the housing HUD apartments. Oh, yeah. And I did want to say that a case came out today that we're looking at in Ohio, 16 children. Um, and I haven't posted about it yet, but 16 children were found living for years. I think it was 4 years, but some of the children were 1 years old, but 16 children in a 12 by 12, 12 feet by 12 feet space. No bathroom. Okay. It's so there has to be us standing up against this, because I can tell you the names in the case is what alerted us that, well, we'll see what the investigation comes out. We'll do our own investigation, but a lot of red flags went up about these 16 children. And I do have their ages here. I do, because I'm working on a post for it. Let me see if I can find it, because it's really, yeah, here it is. 16 kids, age 1, age 1, age 2, age 2, age 4, age 4, age 5, age 6, age 8, age 10, age 11, age 13, age 14, age 15, age 16, age 18. Those were the 16 children. It was a very bad scene. They weren't good mentally. They weren't good physically. I believe 1 or 2 are in intensive care. They had to be rushed to the hospital. The names of the 4 adults that were causing this hellhole is Gary Siders Sr., Gary Siders Jr., Christina Siders, and Elizabeth Siders. Yeah. The names, I can tell you, are very fishy. There's something going on with identity and phone and addresses, and because they have a lot of contacts, you know. So it's going to be interesting to see what we find out in our investigation versus what the authorities will release about these 16 children living together in a 12-foot by 12-foot space with no bathroom. Yeah, it was really bad. So, something is happening that there's alerts going on to uncover this kind of crime. Because why would they do what they're doing unless they're trafficking or something like this? So, but I will let you know more later, and if that has to do with the pipeline in El Paso. Okay. Because that pipeline is like a octopus. It goes out into the rest of the United States, just like it would flow down through Mexico, and then over into the Caribbean to Cuba, and then the Caribbeans, and then to the Strait of Hormuz, right? And even to um, um, Europe and the war and all of that. Um, Ukraine, that's what I wanted to say. It would go over to Ukraine too. Um, this is goes up north to Canada. It goes, um, just like a spider web, like tentacles into the country. And we know that they were even shipping out of California, so it would go through El Paso, through that gateway, and then over to California, onto um, into the shipping containers, and then it would be shipped out to Asia. And in the case that was caught, it was going to North Korea. So, you know, what's happening is the exposure, the arrest of a huge um, trafficking cartel, um, I should say foreign and domestic enemies that are up to no good, uh, criminal enterprise, terroristic enterprise organization. And and it seems to all kind of center in El Paso. El Paso's like the hub. So anyway, thank you so much, everybody. Have a great night, and we will be back tomorrow, God willing. And please share, 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 and sign the petition, and have other people sign it. That would be such a great help.